When the system fails, Black children breaking the foster care cycle. Have you ever wondered what happens to a child when the system designed to protect them becomes the very thing that holds them back? I recently had the privilege of sitting down with Marcy Perrin, whose name deserves to echo through the halls of justice and child welfare reform for generations to come. Marcy isn't just an advocate. She's a force of nature who has transformed the landscape for Black children caught in America's foster care system. Her 20 years of relentless work has literally changed laws, shifted institutional practices, and most importantly, saved countless Black families from unnecessary separation. What makes Marcy extraordinary isn't just her brilliant policy mind, it's her unwavering belief that every child deserves to be seen as someone's beloved, not as a case number. The numbers tell a story that should make us all uncomfortable. Black children make up just 14% of the child population in America, yet they represent 21% of all children entering foster care. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't random chance. This isn't coincidence. This is a pattern so consistent, so persistent, that we can no longer pretend it's anything but systemic. But here's where it gets personal. Behind every statistic is a child with dreams, with potential, with a future hanging in the balance. A child who deserves better than to become another data point in a broken system. Marcy shared a particularly poignant observation during our conversation. When we fail to see the humanity in these children, we fail to see our own. Her words cut through the noise, reminding us that this isn't just about policy, it's about people. It's about who we choose to value, who we choose to protect, and who we choose to discard. The story of Sacramento County offers us both hope and a sobering reality check. Over 5 years, they managed to reduce their overall foster care population by 26.5%, an achievement worth celebrating. They specifically focused on addressing racial disparities, resulting in a 31% reduction in Black children in care from 422 in 2020 down to 289 by February 2025. Progress, right? Absolutely. But here's the catch that Marcy emphasized. Despite this reduction, Black children still made up 32% of those in foster care as of March 2025. The disproportionality persists, stubbornly resistant to change. What made Sacramento's approach different was their commitment to keeping families intact whenever possible. They prioritized community engagement strategies and sought relative placements first when removal was unavoidable. They acknowledged the long-standing mistrust between child protective services and Black communities, doubling down on transparency, prevention services, and culturally competent interventions. This wasn't just bureaucratic reshuffling. This was relationship rebuilding. This was recognizing that the best place for a child is usually with their family, and that supporting families is often more effective than separating them. Systems, Marcy told me with a wry smile, don't change themselves. People change systems, and sometimes those people need to be incredibly stubborn. This brings me to another powerful story Marcy shared about three local women who became advocates through Casa Sacramento, court appointed special advocates. These women saw a gap and stepped into it, providing individualized guidance to African American girls navigating the child welfare system. Many of these girls lack consistent adult mentorship. Many had trauma histories that derailed them academically and emotionally. But these advocates refused to let them become statistics. They worked closely with schools and social workers. They showed up consistently, they believed, when others had given up. And the results, two out of four girls matched with one advocate graduated high school against daunting odds. This might not sound revolutionary until you consider that nationally, only about 50% of foster youth graduate high school at all. In college, only 3 to 4% of former foster youth complete 4-year degrees. These advocates didn't just help these girls beat the odds, they changed the odds entirely. As Marcy puts it, advocacy isn't just about speaking up, it's about showing up again and again, especially when it's hard. These women embodied that principle, filling critical gaps left by overstretched systems that often failed young people who looked like them. But individual heroism, while inspiring, can't solve systemic problems alone. We need both personal commitment and policy change. The national picture remains troubling. While adoptions from U.S. foster care have declined significantly, about 24% since 2019, more than 77,000 children are still waiting for permanent homes nationwide each year. States routinely fail federally mandated timeframes meant to move children toward permanent homes quickly, leaving many languishing without stability. Marcy told me about reviewing case files one night until 2 a.m., tracing the journey of a 15-year-old Black girl who had been in 17 different placements since age 7. 17 homes in 8 years, Marcy said, her voice breaking. How do we expect a child to develop trust, to believe in permanence, when we've shown her 17 times that nothing lasts? Education represents both a major hurdle and a tremendous opportunity. When only half of all foster youth earn a high school diploma, we're looking at a pipeline to poverty, not prosperity. But targeted support, such as guaranteed college admission programs, can provide life changing opportunities to break cycles of disadvantage. Mercy shared a quote that has stayed with me. Education isn't just about books and degrees. For these children, it's about options. It's about futures they can choose rather than futures that choose them. The persistent racial disproportionality underscores why collective action, from reforming agency practice standards down to individual advocacy, is essential if we hope every child finds lasting belonging. So, what do we do with this information? How do we move from awareness to action? First, we need to acknowledge that this isn't someone else's problem. This is our problem. These are our children. Their futures are intertwined with ours in ways we may not fully comprehend. Second, we need to recognize that change happens at multiple levels. Yes, we need policy reform. Yes, we need system overhaul. But we also need individuals willing to step into the gap right now, today, while those larger changes are in progress. Marcy emphasized three actionable steps we can all take: reach out locally, volunteer with organizations supporting at risk families, or become an advocate yourself. One person showing up consistently in a child's life can literally change their trajectory. Educate others about how implicit bias shapes who enters and stays in our nation's systems. Have those uncomfortable conversations. Share what you've learned. Challenge assumptions. Demand accountability from policymakers so no more mothers or their babies fall through institutional cracks simply because they're Black. Call your representatives. Attend community meetings. Vote with these issues in mind. As Marcy powerfully stated, silence is not neutral, silence is complicity. When we know better, we must do better. I want to share something deeply personal that Marcy revealed during our conversation. She told me about a moment that fundamentally changed her perspective. She was reviewing case files and noticed a pattern. Black families being reported to CPS for issues that white families receive community support for instead. The same circumstances, different responses. It hit me, she said, that what we call protection often depends on who we think deserves protecting and who we think needs protection from. That realization fuels her work every day. The understanding that true protection means supporting families, not just removing children. The stories from Sacramento County show us what's possible when we commit to change. The advocates from Casa Sacramento show us the power of individual action. The national statistics remind us how far we still have to go. But together, these narratives offer us a roadmap, not just to reform a broken system, but to reimagine what child welfare could look like if it truly centered the needs of children and families, particularly Black children and families who have been disproportionately harmed. As I reflect on everything Marcy shared, I'm reminded of an African proverb: the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Our systems have failed to embrace too many children, and we are all feeling the heat of those consequences. But there's another way. We can build villages that embrace all children. We can create systems that support rather than separate families. We can demand policies that recognize the humanity and potential in every child, regardless of their skin color or circumstances. I stand before you today not just as someone who interviewed Marcy Perrin, but as someone transformed by her wisdom. And I challenge each of you to ask yourself, what am I willing to risk for a child I've never met? What comfort am I willing to sacrifice? What privilege am I willing to leverage? Because the truth is, we cannot claim to care about children while remaining comfortable in systems that harm them. We cannot claim to value families while supporting policies that tear them apart. And we cannot claim to believe in justice while accepting injustice for those with the least power to fight it. The question isn't whether change is possible. Sacramento County has shown us it is. The question is whether we have the courage to demand it, to create it, to be it. As you leave here today, I ask you to carry with you not just the statistics, but the stories, not just the problems, but the possibilities. And most importantly, not just the awareness, but the absolute determination that no child should be separated from their family simply because of the color of their skin or the poverty of their circumstances. This is our work. This is our responsibility. This is our moment to stand up and say, not one more Black child will be sacrificed on the altar of a system that was never designed to serve them. The time for change isn't coming. The time is now. And the people to make that change aren't somewhere else. They're right here. They're us.